Ladies and gentlemen, from the very definition of positive development itself, we want three truths. First, what is unavoidable war? Second, how can you make sure there will be less casualties? They haven't given us any proof, any links, or any example. And the third one is that how drones warfare can end the war faster. And again, there is no link or no proof or no examples given to us from the entire PM case, which they have constructed the model in this paragraph, ladies and gentlemen. When we talk about unavoidable wars, we see from the upside that what causes the war to be unavoidable. Is it because the US, especially who owns the drones, are being very aggressive toward other nations, especially in the Middle Eastern countries like Pakistan that Jeff mentioned, and that the drones from the development of US is actually the cause that may stimulate resentment in other countries, that cause other countries to want to wage war with the United States of America, and even the terrorism, who will use this justification for themselves to fight against the US, ladies and gentlemen. When she talks about using drones to save the lives of soldiers, we feel that with drones, the harms outweighs the benefits, and I will elaborate that in my arguments. But for now, the rebuttals are that if we really have to sacrifice soldiers, is it justifiable? It is in three levels. First, it might sound cruel, but it is true. That soldiers are trained and they are prepared and they are paid to fight in wars, and that is actually the main purpose of all soldiers in this entire war. The second thing is, do the government try to protect the soldiers from getting killed? And the thing is, we'd like to say the government doesn't, because by developing drones, it will cause paranoia to other countries, or even terrorism, and that causes the war to be waged a lot easier. And even with drone itself, that can cause a war to be waged recklessly. Therefore, soldiers are going to get killed a lot easier. But even if the government tries its best to protect the soldiers from getting killed, the thing is that all the two things that drones are capable of are, one, surveillances, and two, launching missiles at targets. The thing is, this doesn't prevent ground operations that they were saying. And from statistics, that all the armies, the Navy force, and the Air Force, the one that loses the most casualties is a ground operation from the Army force. That is why we believe that drone does not prevent the loss of casualties from ground operations, and therefore the paradigm has failed on how drones will prevent the loss of lives of even soldiers and civilians, ladies and gentlemen. Do I have any POIs? No. Okay, so move on to my arguments. I will say two things. First, that how drones are dangerous, and second, how privacy of citizens should also be concerned when we use drones. The first thing is how drones can be dangerous. The first sub-level is the stealth of drones, because drones are stealth, they cannot be seen. It causes three things in effect. The first is in rescue cases. It is the least aggressive case in this argument. When we talk about drones, when we send drones in and the drone kills some person, there might be a rescue case. So when the drone launches a missile to a building, there can be a rescue case. But because the drone cannot be seen, so rescuers can wait for many, many hours. That is too long for the casualty or the injuries to be put outside of that frame. For example, in Afghanistan and in Iraq, it has already occurred many, many times already that the rescuer waited even 2 hours before they can rescue the casualty or the injury, and that causes the person to die. And they are not even militants, they are citizens living in that building that the drones has launched a missile in. And this doesn't only apply to the lives of enemies, it also applies to the lives of our soldiers. Because many times, again, the CIA even admits that drones target our own soldiers, and when our own soldiers get shot, the rescuer are not brave enough to take that casualty and bring it out of the zone of attack, because he or she doesn't see where the drone is and doesn't want to risk his life to help him. Yes?
Yeah. In the SAS right now, we see that there's already scientific research talking about that drones could also be precise, and they could actually shoot on the correct targets and not have different costs, right? So you see that, how do you argue about that?
Actually, that is a scientific research. In reality, 2,500 people have been killed in 1 year, and 2,000 people are civilians, while only 500 are militants or targeted targets by the CIA. Not only that, ladies and gentlemen, even CIA has admitted that once they were targeting Bin Laden, there was one person walking on the street with 2 friends, and this person looks just the drone doesn't see the face of this person, but he is as tall as Bin Laden, and he was wearing a brown coat. the drone saw this person, and the drone fired a missile. And this proves how inaccurate the drone is, and therefore causing unnecessarily casualties inside that war. Ladies and gentlemen, the second thing that I talk about the drone being stealth and therefore causing resentment from the countries, thus easier waging war, is there is no trust anymore. Because peace can only occur with a paradigm of negotiation and peaceful matter. The thing is, peace can only occur if we live in brotherhood and the mutual will to have peace inside this world. But because the USA has the drone and it is stealth, therefore there can be no trust in the countries that formally have conflict with the US, that the US will not someday or somehow send a drone into the country and spy on it or try to target some militant or civilian. Therefore, without trust, peace cannot occur. The third thing is, the drone is being recklessly used because it is stealth, and the person who controls the drone, lives half the world away from the drone. So therefore, the man can be reckless in sending drone in, waging war, which makes a lot easier. And when we use the drones to wage war easier, it means that ground operations has to be done more. And that means also that soldiers have to be sent even more to that country so that ground operations can be carried out. We also see that technological advancement, but it's still reckless, because if the drone crash, and they tend to crash a lot because the men are reckless in the first place, but when drones are crashed, the country who has the drone the drone crash inside the territory has a right to take the drone and reverse engineer it. And when they have reverse engineered the technical stuff of the drone, it implies two things. First, that this country can use the drone to counterattack the US, and second, that it has the capability of knowing the security system that defends the US in the first place, ladies and gentlemen. So then, as I am running out of time, I'll summarize my case and move my privacy of citizens to my DLO. But for now, first, we believe that unavoidable war is not defined by the government. An unavoidable war, the cause is mistrust and no will of peace from both parties inside this world, and that is why we have to wage war. Second, when we wage war, it means that we will send drones in from the government case. But because of drone has only two capabilities of surveillancing and targeting targets, so therefore ground operations are still necessary, and ground operations are what we lost more soldiers. Therefore, the definition of positive development is failed, and therefore we are proud to oppose. Thank you.